Hello, everybody out there in YouTube land, and welcome to DC Fans United. So today we're going to be talking about the two comic book movies that are in the theater right now. We've got Shazam from DC, and we've also got Hellboy. So Hellboy isn't doing too good. In fact, it's doing really bad. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but first of all, we'll talk a little about Shazam, since that's the one I actually have seen. Just like everybody else in the country, I haven't seen Hellboy yet. So Shazam is doing alright. It's certainly doing a lot better than Hellboy is, but for a DC superhero movie, it's doing okay. Fortunately, the overseas numbers are actually helping bolster it quite a bit. Actually, 2/3 of the box office money it has so far is from overseas. So when you add up all the overseas countries, of course, it's going to be a much bigger market than just the United States, but I was really expecting this movie to be carried by its domestic box office. So as of yesterday, April 19th, Shazam's brought in $110 million domestically, and let's see, $178 million from overseas. So that brings its worldwide total to $288 million. So that's pretty good. We're going into the third weekend though, so we're going to be expecting yet another drop off. Each weekend it goes down continuously. So we're going to have to wait and see how it does by the end of its run, but pretty soon Shazam's going to be facing Endgame, so that's probably going to be the end game for Shazam's box office. Now, my big theory, and I think this is probably the case, it's my theory, I can't prove it, but I'm pretty sure Shazam is suffering because it's a PG-13 movie. Audiences are just starved for wholesome, family-friendly content that isn't just CGI cartoon characters or Disney characters. This movie had the potential, especially from the trailers, to maybe not be a billion-dollar movie, but the domestic totals right now could be at least double what it is, I think. And I really feel the reason for that is because it's a PG-13 movie. It's not a PG movie. If it was PG, if they cut some of the swearing and a few of the darker things, some of the unnecessary deaths and stuff, I don't think it would have really changed the movie in a fundamental way that it would have made it worse. Personally, I think it would have made it a better movie, but it certainly would have made it a lot better movie for parents, and I think they would have been more inclined to take their kids multiple times. Another thing that happened is a lot of parents did go and see it with their kids. Didn't go as well as they had thought it would. They told other parents, and then those parents didn't go to the theater. So this movie, they're really trying to reach a teenage audience, I guess. They're reaching out for an audience that is about the same age as Billy Batson himself. But personally, I think they should have gone for maybe a little bit younger of an audience. They could still have a couple of swear words. They could still kind of push the envelope, like them buying beer and then spitting it out. They could still do stuff like that, but maybe tone down the demons killing people. There is some unnecessarily dark parts, and that isn't unlike the comic. I've been reading the current Shazam comic. I've got the first 2 issues reviewed. I need to get issues 3 and on that have come out so far. But anyways, it certainly has dark moments in it too. Dr. Sivana's a straight up evil guy, so that stuff wasn't unlike the comics, but the trailers really made it seem like it was going to be a much more lighthearted movie. And it definitely had that to it, but it was a lot darker at times than I expected. And, some of the jokes and stuff were definitely a little edgier. They were definitely using their PG-13, so that, I think, is personally what's holding back its box office numbers. Now, we're talking about Hellboy. Hellboy is just doing terrible. Unlike Shazam, which is actually going to make a profit and has already made back its budget, Hellboy has not even made back its budget by a long shot. It hasn't been out quite as long, but it's still going into its second weekend. So generally, a movie's second weekend sees a huge drop-off. It's normal to see at least a 50% drop. So this movie, we're sitting at, it's been out for 7 days, including its opening weekend, $17 million. That's pretty bad, especially for a Hollywood blockbuster comic book movie. Personally, I didn't see much advertising for it or anything else, but you're looking at a production budget of $50 million, and it's going into its second weekend. So if they're lucky, it'll make, half, that'd be enough to give it $25 million total. Oh, this is just the domestic, but we don't have the foreign box office yet. I'm kind of thinking the foreign box office isn't going to help it all that much, though. For instance, this movie only made $12 million on its opening weekend, and it's only pulled in another $5 million in the, 5 days or so since then. That's really bad. So right now, they're probably looking at this movie being a total loss, or if they're lucky, maybe it will at least make its budget back. But again, we're just looking at the production budget. This doesn't count promotional budget, but I don't know if they put much money into Hellboy's promotional. Now, Hellboy's never been quite a huge franchise. It's not a Avengers or anything like that, but still, the previous movies have made a lot more money than this. The first movie made about $100 million, and let's see, Golden Army made a bit more. It actually did all right. It got $160 million, so that was double its production budget. That's actually a good chunk of change. They made $80 million minus whatever their promotions and all that cost. So that at least made a profit. So they're looking at a pretty steep decline. Now, I think a big part of that is going to be because they ditched the director and the actor who played Hellboy in the first two movies. So a lot of the fans, of course, are not thrilled about that, I would think. So they probably skipped the movie just because of that. I don't know that for sure, but that's my assumption. Another thing is that I kind of think it ties into the Shazam theory of it not doing well. Is just people are a little tired of the dark and like demons and devils and stuff. It's like, okay, Hellboy, like really? I'll just pass on Hellboy. Like, get enough hell in real life. So, they watch the news. They don't need to go and I know the Hellboy's the hero and all that, but it's just like, I'll just skip that one. Another problem I think Hellboy has, it's in the theaters the same time as Shazam. It came out after Captain Marvel and right before Endgame, so it's literally competing with a comic book movie while being sandwiched between two huge, multi-billion-dollar Marvel movies. So unless someone goes and watches every single movie, they're probably going to watch Captain Marvel and Endgame, or they're going to watch Shazam and none of the others, which is what I did. Or they're going to watch all three. They'll watch Shazam, Endgame, and Captain Marvel, but they're not going to watch Hellboy. Like, at the end of the day, no one has money for Hellboy. So that's kind of the same thing that's happened to a lot of these other movies, like Dumbo. Dumbo's out. Like, I didn't hear anybody talking about Dumbo. Well, is Dumbo out? I know I saw the trailer for that recently. I thought it was out, but it's not doing so good either. I haven't kept up on that one. Personally, I'm looking forward to Aladdin, but the live-action Disney thing, I'm not 100% sold on. I think it's just a nostalgia thing. It's like, if you like that movie as a kid, you'll probably like the live-action one. The problem is most people didn't like Dumbo as a kid because it's depressing. So, anyways, a little off-topic there at the end of the video, but really, I think a lot of people are just holding their cash. There's a reason these Marvel movies make billions of dollars. So people went and saw Captain Marvel. They're going to go and see Endgame. Not a ton of people are seeing Shazam or Hellboy. Definitely less people are seeing Hellboy. I think a fair amount of people have seen Shazam. Honestly, the hype I've seen has mostly been, overseas people, which makes sense. That's 2/3 of the box office. I know personally the domestic advertising really made it look like it was basically a G-rated movie. So when parents saw the dark stuff, it just kind of didn't hit right, I think. It was almost like a bait and switch in some ways, and you can't do the bait and switch with people. It just doesn't work. They won't be happy and they'll tell their friends to not go see it. And I've heard numerous people, parents, say they haven't seen it because it's not appropriate for their kids. So I know a lot of parents, though, wouldn't mind. They would definitely take their kids and it would just be perfectly fine. So it really depends on the individuals. I personally just think that's what's affecting the box office, is there's enough people that are not gonna take their kids to something like that they think's inappropriate. So anyways, that's my thoughts on it. Let me know down below what you guys think, and let me know if you think Hellboy is going to be able to make its budget back. Alright, that's all for now. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Be sure to hit the bell for notifications. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't. And as always, thank you for watching and being a part of DC Fans United.
End of line.